I am back with a brand new review for The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 8, which is Chapter 24 in the Mandalorian saga, and it is simply titled The Return. All right, now, if you haven't watched my last video on this, I'll leave a link to it in the description. It was my review of the season before the finale. So the finale was this morning, and the first thing I did when I got up was I watched it. And I have seen a lot of things online about people hating the finale and some thinking it's just simply mediocre. So this episode was, for me, nowhere near as good as the previous episode. And it was kind of lackluster for a season ender, and it just looked like they wrapped up too many of the storylines rather quickly. And the end of this episode almost seems like this could be the end. Like they may just end the Mandalorian after season 3. They may not come back with any more seasons. There are some rumors out there that Kathleen Kennedy wants to get rid of Favreau, and he's the writer of this show. Now, there were some things I liked and some things I didn't. So let's talk about the things that I thought were a little goofy. First of all, they went to great lengths to make Moff Gideon as close to Darth Vader as they could. I don't know why all the villains in the Star Wars universe have to be dressed all in black. He has best in armor, all of how they're able to get the armor, and some of the people that were protecting him in the last season also had the armor, the Mandalorian armor. And how they're able to get that, I thought it could only be forged by Mandalorians. So they didn't explain that part of it. Also, we have clones of Moff Gideon. It looks like everything he was doing was leading up to him cloning himself. To what end? So it doesn't tie into anything that happened in the new sequel trilogy, The Force Awakens. It doesn't tie into anything with Snoke. It's like it went nowhere. Like they wrapped it up all in a nice bow at the end of this episode. Now, for a while there, I thought they were going to do a bait and switch at the end, where it seems like Din Djarin can't do anything on his own anymore. He needs help from either Grogu or he needs it from Bo-Katan. And in this episode, he was fighting Moff Gideon, and that's when Bo-Katan comes in and says, I need to take care of him on my own. And I'm like, okay, Din Djarin can't do this? How he was supposed to be a bounty hunter and do all these amazing things at the beginning of the show to him needing all this help towards the end of this season is inconsistent writing. And luckily at the end, they did retcon that, and it took all three of them to take down Gideon. And I don't think Gideon is dead. He blew up in this big explosion, and I guarantee you he's not gone. He had that armor on, and I'm sure he was protected, and we will see him again if they do continue on with the show. I thought it was also a little strange how they took almost a one-for-one scene out of Rebels. There was the death of Kanan, which was one of the most memorable episodes of anything I've seen Star Wars in a long time. I started Rebels, and once it got down to like the last 6 episodes, I took almost 2 years to finish it, and finally finished it, and it was amazing. And Kanan's death was a pretty powerful moment. It was a beautifully done moment in the show, and they had a sequence exactly like that in this episode to kind of show you that what they did with the Jedi was canon, and they were protected, through Grogu protected them in a pocket, as they're surrounded by fire. So I thought it was a little weird that they're already recycling ideas from some of the other shows already. And I personally want to see new stuff. I don't want to see everything rehashed again and again and again. It's almost that same complaint of they're going to the same locations all the time. Pick some new locations. Now, luckily, we did get some new locations in this season. I also caught the cameo by Dave Filoni at the end. And I think somebody said he was in one of the previous episodes, but I didn't catch it. But I clearly caught him when he went back to the bar at the end of this episode, and that was pretty cool. So he's a gun for hire now for the New Republic, which is pretty interesting. They could go just about anywhere with this, but it also could be the end of the show. Now, I was hoping at some point they were going to make Din Djarin a Jedi, and that him and Grogu could, maybe train together and and learn, but I don't think they're going to go in that direction, especially with how Din needed a lot of help in this season, which he didn't need in previous seasons. Again, the writing was a little inconsistent. I actually enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed this season actually much more than I did the second season. I thought the first season was cool because it was fresh and it was new. Second season was okay. I thought it was all over the place, and my reviews reflect that. I thought it was more all over the place than this season was. This season at least had a trajectory that they were trying to go for. I don't think they exactly hit the mark. But at the end of the day, for the overall season, I would give this season 3.5 out of 5 stars. I think visually it was stunning. They had some amazing effects. It looks like they spent more on this season than they did in previous seasons. And I did appreciate the look and the aesthetics of everything. But overall, the story just kind of didn't hit all the beats that it should have. But visually stunning. The acting was well done. It was great production values, but the story is where this really lacks, and some of the inconsistencies with the story and with it actually going nowhere. So, we get the Mandalorians get their planet back. Moff Gideon is, his whole entire base was eviscerated from the planet. So that's what the return is they're returning to Mandalore, and they did take the planet back over. So kind of a lackluster ending, like some people have said, to the season. Not terrible. I definitely like these last 2 episodes more than most of the rest of the season. But, we had that whole, I think it was a 3rd episode where they did the whole thing with his right-hand girl who was supposedly with the New Republic but really wasn't. They spent a whole episode with her and the engineer. To what end? Like, if they don't do any more with that in the future, I think it's a missed opportunity and a waste of an episode where they could have compiled that story in the background in probably a 1/4 of the time and actually built up more of the main storyline. Those are just my thoughts. That's how I feel about it. I am a massive Star Wars fan, and I do appreciate them at least trying. I do think that this is one of the better Star Wars seasons that they've had on anything. It definitely felt like Star Wars, looked like Star Wars, and definitely gave us a major history on The Mandalorian. So I enjoyed the season, but at the end I give everything about 3.5 stars, and that's what I give this last episode, was 3.5 stars. It could have been better, but it wasn't terrible. I really hope that Disney gets to releasing these Star Wars shows actually on Blu-ray disc. I would like to pick them up, but I'd prefer 4K, actually. It would be nice to be able to pick up these shows and actually own them without having to have Disney Plus as a subscription, which I will probably always have. Being a voice actor and also doing the reviews here, it just helps me with taxes at the end of the year, actually having stuff like that. So I do appreciate the ability to have those things in my back pocket and be able to use those for my business. And I appreciate all the support that everybody's given me. I had a great 2022. I'm looking for an even better 2023. My channel has grown exponentially just in the first 4 months of this year, and I cannot thank you guys enough for choosing to watch my reviews, to be here with me daily as I put out videos. It means a lot to me. It really does. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. My wife made the comment the other day that when I said I was going to start a channel about 2.5 years ago, she thought it was the most ridiculous thing ever. And now it's growing into something that is pretty special, and I couldn't do that without you guys. So I do appreciate it. I will be doing reviews on all kinds of things coming up. I actually have some Lego reviews I'm going to be working on for the Indiana Jones Legos that came out. I'm really excited to talk about that so I can finally do my first Indiana Jones video. And I'm going to be covering Indiana Jones just like I do DC and Star Wars going forward. So if you haven't already, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up. We will see you on the next video.